You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
Huge thanks to Oklahoma Agro-Tourism for helping set this podcast up. Hundreds of farms and ranches across the state of Oklahoma invite you to explore and experience the intersection of agriculture and tourism. Oklahoma's growing adventure. Pet a pig, help with a harvest, lie around at the lodge, wind down with a wine, and more. However, you want to experience agriculture? Let Oklahoma Agro-Tourism be your guide. Start your adventure at oklahomaagrotourism.com.
Cool. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Coming to you via Zoom, but coming to you, my guest today, coming from Carnegie, Oklahoma, Dustin and Nikki Snow have joined the podcast, and we're going to talk a lot about plants and flowers, but they're also family business to go with that. I am a terrible planter. I have no green thumb whatsoever, even though I grew up on a golf course and love lush green grass and looking at the flowers in the Masters, and that's about as far as my planting goes. But guys, thanks for joining me on the podcast today. I'm excited to share, obviously, your big family story and been around, since 1928, which not a lot of Oklahoma businesses can say that, and not a lot of families can say that they've had a family business for that long. So that's pretty impressive stuff.
Well, thanks. We're glad to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it. So how do you guys before we dive into the history of the family business, how do you guys get involved with the family business?
My first job out of college, I was managing an office supply in Lawton, Oklahoma. And I found myself here in evenings and on weekends working a lot. And I found that I got more joy being at the farm than in an office. And I worked hard enough and long enough for my parents that they thought I was an asset, so they hired me full-time. In 1992, I started working here full-time.
Yeah.
I grew up here. I was here my whole life, really, but full-time work started in 1992.
Yeah. And when you go to the website, and I'll post a link to the website down below so people can go and click on that, cannas.net, there's so much information on there. And the best thing about it, when you click the About Us section, you can read this awesome story about the family. Could you guys tell that story if you feel comfortable telling it, about how it was founded and just how do we get to where we are today?
I always say Dustin tells the story best.
Well, I've told it a lot of times, so that's for sure. So in the 20s, my great-grandparents received some cannas from an aunt who lived in DeQueen, Arkansas. And my grandmother grew them in their landscape just a couple miles down the road from where we are now. And they loved them. And we always keep in mind that in the 20s, their landscape was sand and no grass. They had no running water in the house or no toilet in the house, but they had the desire to have something pretty in their landscape, which is interesting to me. The cannas grew and produced bulbs, and they had more than they needed very quickly. So she sent them with my great-grandfather on a vegetable peddling route in which he sold different gardening vegetables out of the back of an old Model T pickup at a roadside. And after a few seasons of that, he found that he was making more money selling flower bulbs in the Depression than he was selling food. There was plenty of other people selling food, but just not many people selling flower bulbs in this area, which is even more interesting to me.
Right.
Because even when people were starving for money and goods, they still wanted something pretty in their landscape. So that went on for a few years, and then my grandfather decided that he wanted to do the business. So a really funny concept to me, but he had his personal Jersey milk cow, my grandpa as a kid. And I guess he used it to generate a little bit of income for himself. He traded it to his dad, my great-grandpa, for the business of growing cannas. And he took that little business and grew it into something a little more. And just before he shipped off to war, he married my grandmother. Literally 3 days before he shipped out to war, he married my grandmother. And his joke was always said that he always said that he married her so she would take care of the cannas while he was off at war. And it's always a good story to tell.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And so he went to war. Grandmother took care of the business while he was gone. Came back and really started to focus on creating income with cannas and developed a more of a commercial situation. And they were selling to a company called TGNY, which you've probably never heard of. They sold to Gurney, Henry Field, which are all old gardening magazines, and just created a business. He also sold and marketed through a newspaper and sold direct to homeowners as well, and just grew the business and built his own equipment along the way for harvest. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And you come to, we're almost 100 years in, right? You get to,
Yeah.
Which is, I love the centennial stuff. Like, it's super cool. Me being a golfer, my golf club back home, the centennial was in 2005. And it's such a big deal. And you very rarely get that out in the States. But obviously now we're closely getting to those businesses, right, that were started just before the war and all the rest of it. And I'm sure you guys are going to throw a hell of a party when that happens.
Yeah, we will.
Tell me about the cannas, right? Because people listening, might probably know a little bit more than I do, but obviously they must, it wasn't easy to grow anything back in the day, but it must have been easy to grow cannas because of the ground was so bad. Is that right?
Well, it was difficult in Oklahoma because of the drought that was going on, and hence the Dust Bowl, and the fact that there was no irrigation. And rarely did people have running water in their house. So you had to really be intentional about growing anything in the summertime here. So, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So long ago. And
you said your great-grandpa had his machinery, and there's a story as well, right, on the website about developing the irrigation system as well, like the first irrigation system.
Yes. So that's my grandfather. Okay. When he made it more commercial, he would plant them in rows out here on the west side of this farm that he bought in. He bought it in late 40s. I know there's concrete out here that he poured in 1948 because he wrote his name in it. So I think he probably bought the place in 45, and I could be wrong. I should know more information on that. He grew cannas here, and he found that they were inconsistent in production because of drought, and different things created problems for good production. So he found a way to create irrigation where irrigation wasn't common here at that time. So according to the locals, he drilled the first irrigation well in this county, and we still use it today. He bought equipment from Oklahoma City Water Department that they would consider surplus, and it was the pumps that they would use for city water, and he used those pumps to create an irrigation system for agriculture. Mm-hmm. He bought his first irrigation pipe from Montgomery Ward magazine. But his first attempt at irrigation would have been flood irrigation, which would be little ditches, and you flood the area. But that didn't work because of gophers. It didn't work well because the land wasn't flat and perfectly flat, and the grade wasn't correct. So he did go to the pipe, and he used aluminum pipe. And the locals here said that the aluminum pipe would poison the plants and kill them all, which was totally wrong because aluminum pipe is now widely known as a good irrigation source or irrigation pipe, which is really funny. He was really, really a pioneer and thought outside the box in order to do the love that he had for cannas.
Right. And I mean, I like the story, you just said, like, about people, not being able to sell, food because too many people are selling food, but kind of the cannas became, I guess, like a symbol, right? It's like, okay, like we don't have much, but we have a really cool yard and we have flowers and then something. And it's like, I think going back to, we have so much stuff that we have, right? We buy and just accumulate all this just junk sometimes, right? And there's very few things that you have now that it's like a symbol for, like just happiness, good life, and something that makes you smile every day, right? When you don't have a lot.
Right. And the good thing about cannas, they are really easy to grow, and you can put them in the ground a couple of inches and a little bit of water and not a lot of care as long as they get sunlight, and they make you feel like you're a good gardener, which is always fun.
You're going to be getting an order from me soon because I need that. I've said this many times on the podcast. I am the person who has contemplated buying plastic flowers because from the road nobody knows.
Nothing wrong with that.
But my wife would probably hang me if I did that. But anyway, how many? So when the farm started, how many acres did you have back then, and how many do you have now? Was it grown quite a bit, or did you still kind of roughly have the same land?
We've made a full circle, actually. So Grandpa probably started with 8 or 10 acres of cannas, and at the highest point, we had 200 acres of cannas.
Wow.
We were serving big companies that serve big box stores and mass merchandisers, the mass retailer, Walmart. Mm-hmm. We weren't selling direct to them, but we were serving the people that sell to them. And we decided that we didn't want to do that anymore. And we have made a full circle. So we're now back down to about 30 acres.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're enjoying it more. We feel like we're serving people better. And we certainly know that our product is better because we can take better care of the soil. Mm-hmm. We can get better care of of everything because we're doing things on a smaller scale with more focus on the details.
Yeah. Do you guys still own the 200 acres as well, and do other stuff on that land?
So we own 160 acres. We were renting land in order to plant cannas. Yeah, we were renting land in the area, and we'd actually rent several different plots of land and put them in different areas for different reasons. So.
Yeah. Nikki, what about you? What is like your kind of experience in the business, and like what I guess would be your day-to-day job title?
I'm here in the office, so the majority of my days are spent answering emails, answering the telephone. Funny story, when I met Dustin in high school, he casually along the way said, "Oh yeah, my family owns the world's largest Canna Farm." That was a slogan that his grandpa loved to repeat. Yeah. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, one, I didn't know what a canna was. And two, I was thinking really just a really glorified big backyard. So the first time Dustin brought me to Ben, his grandmother's home, I was blown away and just had no idea that something like this was even in Western Oklahoma, as so many people still state, "I didn't even know you were here." So I always tell people Dustin's claim to fame. I was surprised the first time I came down the road, but on a daily basis, I'm managing kids as best I can, and then running the office. Dustin comes and joins me during the crazy shipping season of April and May, and it takes both of us answering the phones all day, every day. And then he returns back to more of the outside projects and field.
So you guys are really getting ready for blooming season then, and everything that's coming up.
Yeah. So we're getting ready. We're sales, shipping, I should say, is just really ramping up to some of the warmer states. Yeah. And then starting April 1st, we're going to pull double duty. We'll ship all day, and then we'll go to the field and plant as much as we can each evening. So kind of that's our crunch time, and we're a little bleary-eyed some days, but it's fun. And it, when we get blooms in July, August, September being peak, it makes all that work in April so worth it.
When you talk about shipping, are you shipping like every state? Are you shipping worldwide? Like, how is that kind of whole system grown from family business starting to shipping to friends and then bigger stores? And like, how is it to watch that grow, and where are you sending your stuff to?
It was really fun prior to 9/11. It was really fun shipping internationally. That was not, we didn't have quite as many hoops to jump through. So, several European countries, loved that aspect. 9/11 changed that for us because we weren't a common, we didn't ship year round. We were just a seasonal. It was harder for us to ship overseas. So that part of a lot of our international sales ended with 9/11. And then so now we ship throughout the United States. We even ship to Alaska. I'm always amazed at the tenacity of someone in Alaska growing a tropical plant. But yeah, so we shipped all 50 states.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? To know that, hey, something that I've planted that's been in Oklahoma, in Carnegie, Oklahoma, it's been sent to Alaska, it's been sent all around the world, and you have this. I just love the fact that you're walking on the same ground that your grandparents have and great grandparents have. Like that's really cool to me. There's not a lot of people that say that. I mean, if they do, most of the time it's not true, right? Like you are literally walking on the same land.
Yeah, same house, same farmhouse.
Yeah.
Like, and there's some really, we'll end the day, especially this time of year, walking home down the driveway to the house, and we have these really great Western Oklahoma sunsets, and you're like, oh yeah, we're here. This is what we're supposed to do. We have the best customers. Right. We truly have the best customers, and we have repeat customers that call each year and ask how the kids are, and we ask how they are. But with anything, if I've had a day of a few rough conversations, like, oh, we're really doing this, right? But it's all in all, we've been here over 25 years, the two of us, and we're where we're supposed to be. Yeah, we really are.
Coming to like the present day and the the evolution of technology and just the tractors and everything now that can practically drive themselves. If you've been there for 25 years, you've seen all this stuff come through, right? I mean, I'm sure it's much easier today to do what you do than it was 25 years ago.
Most certainly. Yeah. Whenever we started here, to ship a package was unbelievable. We hand wrote the label, the shipping label. We hand wrote into a UPS booklet and weighed everything by hand with a spring scale. And now
we even tied up the boxes with twine.
Yeah, we didn't have a stapler. We didn't even have a pneumatic stapler. We used round bale twine to secure the lid to the boxes, which UPS hated because they just didn't like that. But anyway, so Nikki and I introduced computers to the office.
96.
In 1996 with a Gateway 2000 computer. I'm sure you've never heard of it.
No, it had like a cow moon.
Yes, yeah. That's
my first computer. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then we were able to, create labels with a printer and not have to write anything. Then we were able to do payroll with a computer instead of handwriting all that. So yeah, things have changed. We were here before the internet for sure.
Yeah.
And of course we have a website that is now 21 years old. We've had that domain for 21 years.
Yeah.
And
Dustin was really instrumental in pushing for, I think we really should do this. I think we should really put a website out there. And I'm so glad we did. It went live just right, 1999. And, that whole process has changed. The, website development is not at all what it used to be. So that's been a process. But yeah, we have loved seeing that side of the business change and grow.
Yeah. Also when you look on the website, you can kind of go, see how many stuff there is available, right? How many, I guess, cannas or variety of cannas do you guys sell at one time, or do you have? Does it change, or is it pretty the same?
It changes. We'll have a variety that something happens in the field and we can't sell it maybe every year. And we're always adding new varieties, and sometimes we even remove a variety that we decide is not good enough for our production. So right now we have about 30 varieties on the website, and we probably have 50 varieties that we're developing. And develop meaning they're under trial, and we're just growing them to see which one of those that we want to put into our sales cycle.
So you said September's like peak blooming season. What do you guys have visits? Do you have people come out and do photo shoots and weddings and all the rest of that kind of fun visual stuff because the flowers are beautiful?
Well, maybe not so much weddings. We do. September is our biggest month for visitors, and we tell people you can come, park at the edge of the field, walk into the flowers, stay as long as you like, anytime during daylight hours, and no charge. Don't have to check in with us. Just come and enjoy. Now we did start a few years ago doing a tour. So where Dustin and I take an hour out of the day and meet with whoever wants to schedule a tour. It's $5 a person, and tell you a little bit more of the same story we're sharing with you, how we got started, some of our processing here at the farm. So, and we added last year, totally by chance, or I don't know if you'd call it by chance, we're putting some crop rotations into play just for improving soil. Mm-hmm. And Dustin planted some sunflowers, and I didn't think much of them. I thought, sunflowers are pretty, but I was thinking too, they get tall and straggly, and we had 30 acres of glorious sunflowers as a backdrop to the cannas. And so real quick, we threw up some information on the internet and had visitors and photographers come out. So we're planning on doing that again this year.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's the great thing about, everyone's now visual, right? Everyone's, on social media and want great pictures and something different to kind of, make their friends jealous or whatever it is. So find little gems like spots like that you have. And I'm sure in September, that's a, kind of great time of year. Both my birthday and my wife's birthday is in September. So it's definitely my favorite month.
We did have a music video. Someone came out and shot a music video last September in the field. So that was new for us.
Right. Was that kind of like this kind of strangest thing that's happened? It was freezing cold. It just happened. They scheduled on a day and the weather turned cold, and bless her heart, she was freezing to death, but they got it done. Yeah. I'm sure the video looked great, right? Yeah. Cool. Well, to finish, how can people, obviously I'll post the website in the link to this podcast so people can go straight to it, but do you guys have a social media? Can people kind of see, do you guys post stuff on that? And we
do, not huge posters, but try to once every week or so. Sure. So Facebook, Instagram, we post more pictures of maybe things that are going around and about on the farm, where Facebook is a little bit more sales driven or information about sales or shipping. But both of those is definitely
awesome. Well, I will post the links to those in the description so people can go to that and click on it and find out the best time to come down. Obviously, it sounds like it's no time soon because you guys are super busy, but in September, definitely come take a look. Is there anything else
just for Oklahomans in particular? Planting starts about April 1st, and any order placed by 2:00 ships the same day. So we like to get orders processed and out of here and serve customers well. We also, new to the YouTube area, much against the advice that we needed to enter the YouTube arena. And so we have two big videos on YouTube. but they are helpful. They have some great information. There's a lot, like anything else, you can read 17 different stories on how to do something. So you get it straight from the farm.
Yeah.
All the information on cannas.
Right. Well, I guess everybody's, ground is different where they're at, right? So it just depends. It's trial and error, I assume, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the YouTube videos are basic planting instructions.
Yeah.
And care. And the second YouTube video is how to harvest them and store them for winter.
Okay.
And those would fit anywhere, in any area that you can grow them.
All right. Last question. Do you guys have a favorite that you like, a favorite color or a favorite one that you just see every year and you just think, oh, it's just the best ever?
So my favorite variety is Cleopatra, and it's a mutant. It's a mutation, and it changes. So it's primarily yellow with yellow bloom with a little bit of red on the bloom. Mm-hmm. A lot of green foliage, but streaks of bronze. That's random. From plant to plant, it's random. From year to year, it's random. And overall, it's beautiful. But the thing I like about it most is that it changes and it's random, which is, I call it the Frankenstein canna, because you never know what you're going to get.
Nikki, what about you?
We have a new one that we're able to sell this year. It's white. We've had customers ask for years and years and years for a white canna. So it's great. It's a pale yellow that fades to more of a creamy white as the bloom ages. So it's called Alaska. It's probably my current favorite.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing pictures and seeing those, and hopefully coming down in September in person to come check it out.
I would love to have you.
That'd be awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for sharing some stories today. I really appreciate it. For everyone listening, I'll post the links in the description so you can go check out the cannas and everything and go buy some. And thank you to the family, obviously, for starting this amazing business and still having it today. So thanks for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Huge thanks to Oklahoma Agro-Tourism for helping set this podcast up. Hundreds of farms and ranches across the state of Oklahoma invite you to explore and experience the intersection of agriculture and tourism. Oklahoma's growing adventure. Pet a pig, help with a harvest, lie around at the lodge, wind down with a wine, and more. However, you want to experience agriculture? Let Oklahoma Agro-Tourism be your guide. Start your adventure at oklahomaagrotourism.com.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.